Okay, so now that we learned all we need, let's start Pokémon Stadium 1.
We're finally free of that blasted school.
So now that we've all graduated, now we can tackle the stadium.
Graduated, all I do are rescued.
It's the Dark Souls way it lives, so you know you have to fight for your freedom.
Hey, you're awake, I see.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
What the fuck was going on with Psyduck? Was an epileptic attack?
There you go, Tail. Voice compression technology. There you go, Tail. Voice compression.
Level 5.
By factor 5. Anyway, that was the intro. Now let's check out this intro. You might notice of it because for some reason the intros to both versions, European and American, are different. You'll notice in a moment the difference. Right now.
Let me guess. One
Let me
says
guess,
European
different
version.
Pokemon that dropped down. Oh no, same Pokemon.
But the music is different in this bit for some reason. Yeah.
Oh, it's music.
By playing both versions, I noticed this, so I decided to showcase it because I've never heard anyone bring this up. And why are both versions different in the intro?
Is it because they had to take out a few little tiny bits and pieces to fit the new different languages in the PAL version?
It could be. You know, different voice lines required maybe just a tiny amount of space.
So when you start Pokémon Stadium, okay, let's check the options. You can turn off the voice, as in the announcer, although I have no idea why would you turn that off, because Ted Lewis is awesome. So...
Okay, when it releases on the Switch, the Nintendo 64 online, I'll have a little check myself and see what language options there are in the PAL version.
Well, I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm pretty sure they allow you to choose between both versions anyway. So you can.
Yeah, you could do. Yeah, because Nintendo Online has.
Yeah.
Both the NTSC and PAL versions.
Anyway, so yeah, welcome to Pokémon Stadium. So for the stadium, we have the stadium where you can do all sorts of cups. We have the Kids Club, which is basically a Pokemon Party, if that works for you. Basically, that's just some minigames. We also have the Victory, which is basically the Hall of Fame for. Basically, we have Pokemon Lab, which allows you to manage your GBA Game Boy games that are connected. Let's manage my red version. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Whips.
This is a sophisticated PC. You can study Pokemon on it, organize your items, and so on. This is a machine for trading Pokemon. You can trade directly with a friend's Game Boy game pack.
You know, I remember when I first played Pokemon on the Game Boy SP, and I always heard talk of, oh, you have to hook up your Game Boy game to, like, this Pokemon Stadium or this or that in order to get Mew, and I thought, what the heck are you talking about?
It's not for Mew.
It's interesting.
This device is for a lazy trader who can't be bothered to go out and find Pokemon for themselves.
Aside from doing that glitch that is now commonly known for getting Mew easily, the only true official way of getting Mew was through actual events. Like, so the...
what are you talking about, Pedro? It's totally under the truck. Believe it.
I can't believe that a Game Boy game actually had events. Like the thought of hooking
that being
up
said,
online seems kind of funny back then, doesn't it?
That being said, the reason it was really great to have Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 back in the day is because these games actually did allow you to do certain things that you wouldn't be allowed to do with just the Game Boy games. For example, we'll see when I defeat the Gym Leader Castle mode, we'll get an interesting reward. For example, just to give you an idea, if you manage to register all 150 Pokemon into the Hall of Fame of this game, you will receive for one of your Game Boy games an Psyduck that knows amnesia. If you look at Poképedia, normally Psyduck cannot learn amnesia, but this game decided for whatever reason that would be a great reward to have. I don't.
You know, again,
it's not the only one. Again, you need to perform still specific action, but we'll see in due time, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, remind me, what came first for Pokemon, the game or the light novel?
I think the games came first. I'm pretty sure the games came first, didn't they? Red and green.
Basically binging all the manga.
Okay, based on the story that I saw, I'm pretty sure Red and Green in Japan came first, and the manga came later. Free battle. So in free battle is where exactly it is. Just pick a battle against you and or a friend or multiple friends, depending on how things go. You can also select the various rules. Anything goes in between 1 and 100. basically, and the various rules of all the cups in the tournament. So, let's try one.
I wanted to do the P-Tick Cup.
We are going to do that, Web, so I guess wait for it.
Yes.
You can also pick various rental Pokemon. Basically, if you don't have a game, and this is going to be very useful to you guys who are going to play this when it gets released on Nintendo Switch Online, because there's no way to insert your Game Boy games into the Nintendo Switch Online versions, at least at launch. You're going to have to use rental Pokemon. Fortunately, people over the years have made guides on how to beat the entire game with using only rental Pokemon, like what are the best possible teams you can use and what the strategies are. So use those. Obviously, again, it's not the most recommended way, but until Nintendo possibly creates a Game Boy Switch Online thing that allows compatibility with the Stadium games, we're stuck with rental Pokemon, sadly. Okay, so before we start, since we've done some battles in Earl's Pokemon Academy, here's a place where you can unwind from battles. Cute Pokemon, hope you'll join them for fun. So let's do some mini games.
Ah, how wonderful.
Okay.
Pokemon, my God.
It's drowsy.
It's just a lickling to you, Dwibs.
Okay, so who's the best at the tournament? Okay, so let's play the various mini games, pick one by one. It's only me, so I'll play against the computer.
I forget.
Easy.
Do they have online hookups in this game too? With
I mean, I'm guessing the Switch Online version is going to have online, probably, for this.
Well, I'm talking about like back in the day, though. Since,
no, I'm pretty sure there was no online on the Nintendo 64.
Well.
Get the counter to score.
Usually it would be like similar to stuff like Doom, stuff like Quake, multiplayer stuff, Jova. It would be like a bunch of monitors and consoles in this case attached to people regulating.
So, Magikarp Splash.
Magic Charge.
Okay, the key to this minigame. The key to this minigame is if you press A the moment Magikarp lands, you will do an instantaneous quick jump. So it's all about doing the correct timing. That's the secret to getting.
Shout out to the actual mobile jump, Magikarp jump game that Pokemon Company actually released after a couple of years ago. That was actually a good time.
All right, that was it. Yes, Jova.
So remind me then, how did Game Boy Advance games do their events then if they couldn't hook up online?
Game Boy Advance games will connect to Pokemon Coliseum. However, as a successor to Coliseum had a great single-player campaign. The actual Coliseum mode of it, though, doesn't really hold up to the Stadium games, in my opinion. But that's a topic for another day.
Oh, Clefairy using Metronome.
Yes. So this is Clefairy says. So Teacher Clefairy tells us what the moves are, so let's do them.
If you fail, you'll get hit in the head with a hammer.
The Pico Hammer, to be precise.
I actually do like the actress playing Clefairy. She sounds cute.
But to answer your question, Jova, when it came to the Game Boy Advance games, when it came to the events, I don't know actually how they were constructed, to be honest, but Game Boy Advance cartridges could actually be modified if inserted in specific, development kit machines. And as such, unlocking stuff like, for example, the Deoxys event. These, for example, in my country were done by people having to go to a specific theme park and having to give it your cartridge to the attendee, which will actually insert into a machine that will actually, either use a code to unlock it or, add some additional data. I don't know the logistics of it. I'm suspecting it might have been present on the get-go if they just needed something to unlock it. Probably.
Imagine
but
that.
It's kind of working on the same purpose, same principle, Jova.
Imagine that gaming that actually encouraged people to go out into the world.
That's the thing, Jova. It was kind of a pain in the ass because, unlike in, say, I can imagine that in stuff like in Japan and America, this was done in a lot of places that will allow, people more accessibility. In my country, it was only in one specific theme park. Sorry, I'll mention later.
Run right at that run. Tap the A repeatedly to run. Press up on the control pad to jump over hurdles. The first one to the goal
So this
wins.
is Mario Party with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Pretty much.
I'm surprised we never did, expanded a bit on this.
No, especially because these two games, the mini minigame modes are actually really good. I actually played a lot with my friends back in the day. Because while there aren't that many minigames, what lacks in quantity does make up in quality, because all the minigames are very well made. I'm very rusty, as you can see. So all the minigames are actually really good, all of them. Like, there's not like a... Whereas of course, from something like Mario Party, obviously not every minigame is going to be a winner, but since this one is has only 9 minigames, it allowed the developers to focus on actually making them all good. So...
I also remember the advertisement of this. We did mention that,
I actually really like this one.
Oh, sorry.
Snore War. Press the A button when the pendulum gets to the center red needle to cast Hypnosis. The last one awake wins. This is actually a really interesting and creative minigame that they came up with for Drowsy. But like I said, you press A when the pendulum gets at the center, as indicated by that red needle. Those who do it the most and best will win. Those who don't do it as well, of course, will fall into sleep because of hypnosis.
And let me guess, it speeds up as time goes.
Yeah. You'll also notice that the pendulum flashes white every time it gets to the center, so that's also another cue that you can pay attention to.
Also, the background is Hubert, I guess?
Apparently, yeah.
Huh.
Naturally.
Close enough.
Come on. Yeah, this thing gets faster and faster and gets to a point where...
Gotta say, these computers definitely aren't giving up easy.
Which is interesting because I'm on easy mode. Fuck.
Dang. Machine has beaten man.
This one
is out for blood.
Alright, that's a nice
That's
touch.
cute.
Okay, that's cute. Congrats, you win! Now go to sleep like the rest.
Indeed. Alright, Thundering Dynamo.
Of course we got a Pikachu minigame.
Gotta need it.
Thundering Dynamo. When the lamp is blue, tap the A button, repeatedly to charge electricity. Tap the B button when it's green. Pressing the wrong button drains your stored electricity. The first one to be fully charged wins. Yeah, this makes sense because, remember, the A button on the Nintendo 64 controller was blue, whereas the B button was green. So basically, the light is color-coded for your convenience.
So Tia, since you like creatures of the rodent variant, I take it, do you like Pikachu?
Okay, I don't really hate it, but considering how it became basically the poster child of the franchise, it was more of a case of after seeing the fucking thing everywhere, I am mostly indifferent.
Also, yeah, I love how they remixed the Pokemon Yellow theme.
Yep.
Jesus.
Oh, God! Well, at least they're okay, thank God.
If you fail, you'll be executed.
I mean, that is pretty much the equivalent of the electric chair right there.
Alright, sushi go around.
Yummy.
Press the A button to eat the sushi. The biggest spender wins. Eat the same kind in a row to score more points. And you also notice that the orange one is worth 1,000, I think, yen.
Money. It's worth 1,000.
Yeah, it's the. If I calculate that symbol is the currency of the Pokemon universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also remember, like I mentioned, not the marketing, but we didn't mention about guides in the first third part. I asked a specific one that contained the guides for Red and Blue, this game, and Pokémon Snap, all in one package. And there was a lot of, emphasis also on the mini games with slides, steals, and everything. That was pretty cute to see. Even if they didn't actually have the games at the time, that kind of magazine with all the accessories, that was pretty cute. Wow, they didn't even bother to actually change the lines and just kept them in Japanese.
Yep.
I guess it's themed because sushi and everything. So.
I'm guessing, because how many Pokemon keep their Japanese names so they localize it for the West?
Considering...
Not all of them, but a few.
It would be really cool if this game also supports online, so you can play these minigames online, so...
One not
The
all of them
Switch version, like you said, probably will.
Yeah.
Well, not all of them dweebs. Most of the Pikachu clone, quote-unquote, from each generation keep their Japanese names, like Togedemaru, Pachirisu, so on.
So who's your favorite Pikachu clone?
Well, okay, I'll tell you what after the minigame starts, so give it the presentation.
Alright, so the next one is Ekans' Opal Pearl. Yep. Ekans with Pearl. Aim to using in the control pad. Pull back and flick the control stick to launch Ekans. The one with the highest score wins. Pull the control stick back further to toss further. Flick it lightly to toss a short distance. So
That's
basically,
like throw the snake into the hoop.
so basically, think of your analog stick as kind of a catapult lever. Basically, right.
Saying to you?
Fuck.
To answer your, oh Jesus, to answer your question, okay, if I really have to choose, I'm gonna be basic bitch and say Pachirisu, but I never particularly cared about them.
Pachirisu, that's the one from Gen 6, isn't it?
Gen 4 actually. It became extremely popular in one final tournament where its users surprised literally everyone because they were not counting on the beasts to be that powerful.
From what I understand, Gen 4 is, from what I can tell anyway, Gen 4 feels like that game where people go, oh yeah, that was a Pokemon game.
Let me put it like this. Gen 4 is basically remembered mainly for Cynthia and not much else.
Well, in case of a Platinum version, the entire plot is thought about,
And yeah, you'll notice that there was a golden Diglett. That one is worth double points, obviously.
Which is why you're now ahead.
1p wins. What about the 2, 5, and 10p's then?
No, don't you see, Pedro's 1P. He's the One Piece.
Rock Harden.
They actually turned a mini game from the meme about the Kakule Metapod only knowing Harden. That's pretty cool.
Press the A button to harden and
God,
avoid being
that's
squashed by the boulders. Harden only works while the A button is pressed. Beware, harden consumes HP. Watch for the boulder shadows. So basically the idea is, the secret is not to hold A, but instead only press it when the rocks come for you, like so. Well, fuck it. There you go. So obviously try your best to time it to when the rocks. The key, of course, is to take a look at the drop shadows on the rocks.
And for this one, they remixed the evolution theme, so surprisingly.
Yes. Again, the composer for the Stadium duology was Hajime Wakai, who is of course more well known for his work on the Zelda franchise. This was his one and only time working in the Pokemon, and yeah, his remixes are really good, as well as the.
This is why it sounds the sound fonts are all practically the same as the Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, and there's and the original material, as you're going to see later, is also really good. Anyway, dig. Tap the L and R buttons back and forth to make a Sandshrew dig. The first one to hit water wins. Tapping the same button twice makes Chandru stop. I don't know why would you want that, but whatever. So yeah, the basic gist of it is alternate between L and R as fast as you can.
Oh, another so basically this is like this game was like the second that had producing involvement from Miyamoto.
Well, Miyamoto was also an executive producer on Gen 1, so I mean.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's why I said the second Pokemon.
When Satoshi Tajiri was developing the original Gen, Miyamoto was actually kind of took him under his wing. He was actually one of the big reasons why the games were greenlit to begin with. Alright, so that was the Kids Club mode. Now we have, let's see what, okay, we're going to leave the Stadium mode for last, since that's the hardest part of the game. Let's take a look at the Victory Palace. There you go. So basically you can, this is basically a very grindy affair, where you have to beat either the Gym Leader Castle or any other tournament with any of the 150 Pokemon to get them to be on display here, so you can get your Psyduck with an Amnesia. For something that takes quite a long time and is kind of tedious, the reward is not really worth it. So, in my opinion is, don't bother. Why would, I mean, seriously, couldn't you come up with a better reward? A Psyduck that knows Amnesia. Is that really something
there is technically a better reward. I forgot if it's in this or in Stadium 2. But the requirements to get that are also a bit asinine.
Oh, if you're talking about Surfing Pikachu, it's in this game. Basically, if you beat Prime Cup, which is the tournament that's for level 100 Pokemon, and you have to beat on hard mode, because I have yet to unlock hard mode for this run. If you beat that Prime Cup on hard mode in the Master Ball difficulty, basically super duper hard thingy, and you have to have Pikachu in every match of the tournament, then you get to teach that Pikachu surf. That was the only official way back in the day of
So
teaching.
that's how you were supposed to get Surfing Pikachu on Pokemon Yellow.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Transfer back to Pokemon Yellow.
So there you go.
Animation is even unique.
So there you go, dipshits.
All
You want
these years, and I finally now know the secret.
the secret to unlocking that mini game from Pokemon Yellow is to buy Pokémon Stadium 1 and the transfer pack.
And getting very good at it.
Yeah.
Oh, really? That could be an addendum you add when I eventually record Pokemon Yellow for the channel.
I can. Well, nowadays with hacking, you can do that easily. There you go. First we're going to do the gym leader castle mode, which is basically where you do all the gyms plus the Elite Four of Gen 1. We're not going to do every single opponent because I'm going to basically kind of streamline the process. Only tackle the battles that I feel like are worth showing. Let's take a look at Bugboy. And of course, once again, Ted Lewis is here because he's awesome.
Okay, here's someone's echo.
Libs. Yeah, once again, and yeah, I do like the backgrounds they come up with because each individual gym has its own background. And yeah, as you can see, the arena we're fighting in is being suspended by 4 chains. This is kind of dangerous, but whatever. In fact, how do they...
Isn't it the kind of sort of similar to the initial stage in Super Smash Bros. Brawl? You know, all the subspace energy, the place where Kirby and Mario are fighting?
I guess. Indeed. Okay, so the party that I'm using is my main team from my Pokemon Red, which basically involves Mewtwo, Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, Rhydon, and Zapdos. All of them are at level 100 with maximum stats and DVs. Basically, the most powerful versions of these 6 Pokemon you can get in Gen 1. Basically, there is actually a Game Shark code that allows that makes it so that every Pokemon that you find in the wild already has maximum DVs, IVs, whatever you call it. So that Pokemon will always become as strong as the game will allow it every time. So you don't have to bumble around with shit and hope you get the jackpot. You can just have the go to force the game to do it. There you go. Meta P.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I might as well bring up another thing. Oh, here's another interesting thing with the Stadium games. You know how you can name your Pokemon? Depending on what kind of name you give your Pokemon, the Stadium games will change their color, and it's dependent on the name. I don't know how exactly it works. I don't know how exactly that works. I mean, what is it? Like, does the color get randomly generated based on the letters of the name or something? I don't really know how that works.
Also, Pedro, I see you maintained your love for Zapdos.
Zapdos is my favorite flying Pokemon.
Fair enough. You've also got a Charizard and flippin' Mewtwo.
Well, Mewtwo is the most broken Pokemon in Gen 1 by far.
Yeah.
I do like the remixes here. Although I still do prefer slightly more the ones from Puzzle League.
Oh sure. What you're hearing is the Zelda composer trying his hand at this whole Pokemon music thing.
Huh. You know, honestly, I have to wonder, like, keep in mind, back when Pokemon was first a thing, I don't think Nintendo were expecting it to become, you know,
obviously
as
not
big as it did. Keep in mind, at the time, a lot of that game's bugs had to be taken down by the one-man team of Iwata. Not to say that he did it all completely on his own, but, well, he kind of did a lot of it, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as we know, he couldn't get all of it, hence why Gen 1 is incredibly famous for the glitches that you can induct. And even with Pokemon Yellow. But yeah, no, one really has to wonder, like, what were going through Nintendo's minds when they first made Pokemon, and like how quick were they in getting
there actually is
a Pokemon Stadium, Coliseum, and all that?
There actually is a video on YouTube talking about the story of how it happened and how both Ken Sugimori and Satoshi Tajiri started Game Freak to begin with. Originally, Nintendo didn't really find Tajiri's pitch all that appealing. They didn't really understand. Not to mention, they were very apprehensive about releasing such a weird concept so late in the Game Boy's life cycle. Because remember, that game, by the time that game came out, the Game Boy was kind of on its way out. So eventually, however, like I said before to Dwibs, it was actually Miyamoto who actually really liked the idea, and he was the one who helped convince the executives to give the game a shot. Because by that point he already had a significant pull at Nintendo by that point.
At that time, Nintendo also did not really had the really major first-party traditional RPGs. Closest you can imagine would be, I guess, Glory of Heracles and Fire Emblem to an extent, but that's kind of a stretch.
Considering this game came out, the series itself started at the very beginning of 1996. I'd have loved to have seen a Super Nintendo spin-off since this came out still within its life cycle.
That's the thing, Dwebs. As they themselves have, up until the Switch became a thing, they always insisted that Pokemon was better as a handheld franchise. It was only later when the Switch became a thing that they were forced to finally get out of that mindset.
I can kind of understand why they wanted to stick with handheld, but yeah, by the time of the Switch, they had to bucken up. I will say this.
Go on. Go on.
I will say this. I do feel like Gen 7 has a lot of the best ideas that Pokemon has had in the last decade or so. Granted, Gen 9 is looking pretty good. Gen 8... Well, okay, look. Plenty has been said about Gen 8.
Let me... that's a topic for another day. Let me just go through Hajime Wakai's profile on Moby Games real quick, might as well. Okay, so Hajime Wakai's first role at Nintendo was doing the sound effects for Yoshi's Story. Then he was the composer for Star Fox 64, F-Zero X, then for this game, then for Stadium 2, then for Pikmin 1, and then he got his big break at Zelda in Wind Waker, and he has remained as one of the primary composers of the Zelda series up until today. In fact, he was the sound director for Breath of the Wild, and probably going to reprise and he's probably going to reprise that role for the sequel. He also did the music for Nintendogs, Pikmin 2, Star Fox Command, New Super Mario Brothers, Big Brain Academy, We'd Agree, Wii Music. He was one of the many musicians from Brawl. Did sound support for Mario Kart Wii, and I don't know what this means, can mean many things. Did music for Skyward Sword, of course, Nintendo Land, Pikmin 3, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, Star Fox Zero, Star Fox Guard, Breath of the Wild, sound director, and he was also sound supervisor for Hey Pikmin. He was an uncredited character voice in Ultimate, Smash Ultimate, I mean. Interesting. And and he was a sound supervisor for the Link's Awakening remake. Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely been in there.
No, like he's basically much like Maito Yokota succeeded Koji Kondo in Mario music. Hajime Wakai succeeded Koji Kondo in Zelda music. That's basically the idea. Because Koji Kondo nowadays at Nintendo, he still does music, don't get me wrong, but his role right now is more of a head of sound rather than an actual composer. He still occasionally does a track here and there, but for the most part, he just kind of oversees.
So, do the gym leaders actually talk to you?
No, unlike Stadium, it was Stadium 2 that implemented the characters having their dialogue thing. In Stadium 1, the characters are just there to serve as opponents, really.
Weird. I feel like we've... So what you're saying is we actually get more battle dialogue from the school mechanic than the actual main game.
Well, remember, the school mechanic is from Stadium 2. The reason I
we kind of jumped a bit.
The reason I jumped a bit is because, again, for the sake of preserving that learning experience and of course learning the exclusive rules that are unique to Stadium, it would be important to do that Academy first, especially because Stadium 1 doesn't have anything to teach you of its own unique rules on its own. You have to check the manual for that. Fortunately, with
in that case, why do you consider these all part of the same playthrough? Like Stadium 1 and 2 inextricably linked?
They're not inextricably linked, but it's just that, they're considering they're both the same structure, the same type of game. Okay, Stadium 2 is more like feels a lot more like an expansion rather than an actual new game.
Basically like the Super Street Fighter 2 to the original Street Fighter 2, basically.
It would be like if Nintendo had it would be like if Nintendo had a Wii U game back in the day that was compatible with Gen 5, but then they also made but then they would also make an update for it that now makes it compatible with Gen 6, you know. But that's kind of like how Stadium 2 feels. It feels more like an expansion rather than an actual new game. That's, you know. So basically, I decided to just merge these two games together into just one playthrough, for the sake of you know, going through all of them in a row.
Interesting how they gave Brock the two fossil base form of a fossil Pokemon.
They realized that
you can actually revive them.
yeah, the thing is, they realized that they couldn't just give him the same Pokemon he has in the actual Game Boy games, because then he would be a pushover. And it gets harder too, because in hard mode, all these Pokemon are in their evolved forms and they have much better stats and moves. So there you go. So when you computer gym battle, clear. So there you go. That's how a typical gym battle goes. Receive the key from Brock and open Misty's tower. So that's how the gym leaders
get their own flipping castles in this game.
Yes, Cerulean Gym, Misty.
Oh God, Misty, what's wrong with your face?
Well, that's actually one of Ken Sugimori's original artworks too, that he made for Gen 1.
The proportions were all wrong.
Well, Ken Sugimori, this was still early in Sugimori's career. I mean, obviously he would refine his art style over the years. But if you take a look at the manual for Gen 1, Teo, a lot of that artwork you see in that manual is definitely very early days Sugimori, definitely.
I've seen the original sprites the Pokemon had, you know, in the original vanilla Japanese Go, but yes, I know what he's capable of.
Alright, so everybody, we'll continue the Gym Leader Castle for the next part.
Yeah.
See you then.